Good morning, everyone. It's June 8th, 2019. So, many people think that socialism is the answer to many of our economic disparities. And it would make sense to strip the super wealthy controllers of their wealth and their power and give it back to the people. It would. It does make sense to do that. Except when you're talking about socialism, it's never mentioned to rid ourselves of that ruling class altogether. Socialism may seem like a good idea for some of these problems, but only on paper. I'm going to use this article here as sort of a guide to make my point here. And this is on Zero Hedge. It comes from James Howard Kunstler via Kunstler.com. So, redistribution of wealth is a response to what has become our nation. And this nation, or this nation's ruling class, engages in shameless racketeering, shameless hypocrisy, crimes against children, and it only makes sense. And let's not forget the shocking destitution on display in our streets, like Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, so on and so forth. But it makes sense that the common man seeks remedies. And one of these remedies is the redistribution of capital. And it does seem more than fair to take the capital of people like the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller family, the Gates, all these individuals. And it would be more than fair. Because not many of these individuals are self-made. They exploited our system in some way to get what they are, or where they are, what they have. And they call this idea social justice. So, but is it a answer to all the unfairness and indignity? And it's not. It's not an answer. If you want to answer to the unfairness and indignity, you have to destroy the system in its entirety. But the name of this article, by the way, is America's not going socialist, it's going medieval. And he makes a very good argument for this idea. So he says, socialism might seem to be the answer to all this unfairness and indignity, and naturally it focuses on the two activities that have turned into the worst rackets in America: higher education and healthcare, aka eds and meds. Both are now cruel, bloated parodies of what they used to be. And they are. They do turn you into debt serfs, and they do bankrupt people. And they are failures of their basic missions. One, to prepare those developing minds for the realities of the world, and the second, first, do no harm. And neither of these institutions perform these functions. I mean, after all, many individuals leave our public school systems unable to read or do math decently. Unable to utilize activities such as logic. And of course, the medical industry is responsible for a little over 500,000 deaths a year. So, they do not prepare developing minds, and they do a lot of harm. So the remedy that's been proposed by many is for the government to take responsibility for running these two institutions. But hasn't the government been meddling in education for quite a long time? And isn't government the reason we have compulsion education in America? I mean, you want government to take responsibility, more responsibility, it seems, when government has failed in every activity it does, short of stealing the wealth of the people and causing physical and mental harm to those same people. They are very good at that, but nothing else. But the proposed remedy is for the national government to take responsibility for running them and making their services free to all. And it would do nothing to help the patent idiocies of gender studies departments, or rescue the sorry victims of obesity and diabetes from their toxic consumption of Whoppers, pizza, and Slurpees. Have you ever looked over at the car next to you while you're in traffic, and there's this big bloated person with multiple chins slopping down a bucket of KFC, or slopping down a Whopper, and thought to yourself just what they need. Just what they need. They could have skipped probably dozens of those instances of gluttony and saved themselves a whole lot of problems. Hell, develop a cocaine habit and lose the weight that way. It's better than me looking over and wanting to puke because you're slopping shit in your face and that shit is dripping down the 4 or 5 chins that you have developed. I know. I'm an asshole for saying that, right? I mean, if you're going to participate in gluttony, the least you can do is not participate in sloth. And it's going to take a lot of tragedy and loss for people to drastically change in their thought and behavior. The left is now promising redemption from all these great quandaries with the tag team of Robin Hood and Santa Claus. And they love giving out all the free stuff. You know, let's make abortions free. Let's make birth control free. Let's make everything free. Everything we can. You know, the incentive to be good, to do the right thing, have you noticed this, that it's been dwindling and there's very little incentive for people to do the right thing anymore? And, you know, the citizens wanting this free stuff is almost understandable, because we have to consider how desperate so many of the people are in the land of opportunity, in the land of the free, in the land of the brave. And this desperation feeds the rescue fantasies most people have. This is one of the reasons why people don't get off their asses and fucking do something. Because they fantasize that some politician, some military, some god is going to come along and rescue them. There's no rescue unless you do it. The left may get a chance to try this wizardry after the next election. But it's not really where history is taking us. America's not going to go socialist. It's going medieval. And this is why. the money is not there to go socialist. I mean, yes, they can print money, but has that ever ended well for any nation? I don't think it has. But then again, a government has never ended well for any nation. But he says, to put it simply, the money is not there. But the money is only an abstract representation of material wealth of one kind or another: energy, goods, resources, and delivery systems. And all that is becoming more of a fugitive presence in reality-based civilizations. We don't have the mojo anymore to nationalize and centralize these sprawling activities. It must be obvious that the government is not only fatally beyond bankruptcy, but that it has also reached the stage of diminishing returns from overinvestment in complexity that translates into generalized incompetency. And it's not just Mr. Trump's fault alone. He is not the only one responsible for the chaotic paralysis all around us, as he puts it. Societies are self-organizing. They respond to the circumstances that reality presents, and they take us in unexpected directions. The general expectation in the U.S. since the Second World War has been for ever-increasing material comfort provided by an inexhaustible techno-industry cornucopia, kind of a cosmic goody machine. And again, we need to adjust our thinking and behavior, because the horn of plenty is out of goodies, and no amount of financial hocus pocus is going to refill that horn. So instead of fantasizing about that free PhD program for everybody, and by the way, if the PhDs are free and everybody can get one, guess what they mean? Nothing. They already mean nothing. I mean, look at some of the fucking people that have PhDs. Dumb as rocks, and they have a doctorate in something. You know I'm right. So instead of fantasizing about free PhD programs for everybody and free insulin for the multitudes, you know, those people that make you want to gag when you look over at them and they're slopping the food down their throats, cramming it in there. Consider instead the vista of a reduced population working in the fields and pastures to bring enough food out of the long-abused land to live through the next winter. Consider a world in which, if we are lucky, the electricity runs for a few hours a day, but possibly not at all. Imagine a world in which men and women actually function in different divisions of labor and different social spaces because they must, to keep the human project going. Imagine a world in which the ideas in your head about that world actually have no comport with the way that the world really works. And the severe penalty for failing to recognize that. This is the more likely world we're heading into. Of course, this won't end dreams of control freakism. It won't end dreams of the Savior saving you. But it will give you less time to think about your Savior coming to save you. Because you're going to have to survive for yourself. It's not going to be any government USDA boxes sent to your doorstep. And those people with mayonnaise running down their chins, they're going to turn into disgusting heaps of foul odors. Yep, that's what's going to happen. And it's going to be very sobering for those of us who make it through it. Taking the Rothschilds' money at this point would not help us very much at all. And the same goes for the rest of them. People like that should have never been allowed to develop the wealth they have, considering what they've historically done with their wealth. Now, that said, if you're a person that got wealthy because you invented something useful and you keep your politics to yourself, you don't do anything more than the average citizen, you don't donate money to the politicians to get your way, these are not the people I'm talking about. You know the people I'm talking about. Wealth in itself is not bad. It's what the people do with that wealth. Just like the drugs in themselves aren't bad. It's the way people behave. Some people behave after doing them. That's bad. And by the way, if you don't already possess the character defects such as a violent personality or explosive temper or something like that, a drug is not going to make you have these things. They simply draw out traits you already have. So if you're already smart, some of these drugs will enhance that intelligence. It works both ways. So there's that. And if you don't believe that we're headed this way, there's some things to consider. Like this. This wasn't supposed to happen. U.S. employment growth has just plunged to the lowest level in 9 years. 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 9 And in May, according to Payroll Processing Form ADP, the U.S. economy only added 27,000 new jobs. This is way below the number that is needed to keep up with population growth. And then we can jump over here. Whoops, wrong one. Where's it at? To blacklisted news. Forget lower jobs growth. The number of people who've stopped looking for work is much more worrisome. You add these things together, you add the crop failures, you add the diseases spreading throughout the country, and there's numerous diseases spreading, and probably Ebola has made it in here. You add all these things together, you add the extreme corruption of our local, state, and federal governments, you add all of the suicides, all this stuff. You add it all together, and what you have is exactly that. The description at the end here of this article. Reduced population, working in fields and pastures, among other things. That picture is probably the most accurate. But that's after. That's after the events unfold. The events that reduced the population. And these things are unfolding now, as I do this video. So what do you think? What do you think? How far are we from this reduction? How far? Let me know in the comment section. If you like my content, please do subscribe, share, like. I have PayPal and Discord links below as well. Hope you all have a good day. Kill the state, live free.